Dima, it has been too long, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I miss you. I miss the chit chat. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. And I'm loving the pink.
Thank you. Thank you for the pink. I just got out of a Real Men Wear Pink meeting with my friend Dave Baxter and Eric Troutman this evening. So wearing some pink for the virtual meeting we had for the American Cancer Society fundraiser we're doing.
That's great. Looking good in pink. So that's wonderful.
Loving pink. You look great tonight. I love what you're wearing. I don't feel like you have to cover anything up at all. Sorry, that was just a joke. That was a joke from backstage joke.
Yes.
You literally had to be backstage to get that joke, everybody. So
before we start with our fun show, tell everybody how they can go and contribute to your Real Men Wearing Pink.
Well, so I've got a fundraiser, I think that's running on Facebook, and you can also, if you're interested, by all means, visit my fundraiser page. I can't wait for that one. That one's going to be kind of fun too. So there's all kinds of ways that we can donate, all kinds of ways we can just spread awareness for breast cancer coming up in October. So it'll be here before you know it.
Great. So let's add the link afterwards as well.
Okay. I love that. And thank you for that. And, there's something else that's pretty special that we get to share with everybody today. And that's our guest.
Yes.
Our amazing guest. She's a friend, right? She's a fellow business person, a business owner, right? And there's so many more things we can say to describe this beautiful woman. But my friend Norisha Kirts Glover is about to join us. And Dima, you are also in this prestigious little group that I hear about that we're going to have to talk about in a second. But let's go ahead and add Norisha to the show and get her on here. Okay, let's do that. Boom.
There's Norisha. Hello.
Nori, how are you doing?
I am great. I'm great. How are you?
Good to see you. So we need to start things off. Who are you? What is your name? And please tell us your favorite color. Extra points if it's pink.
Start with what's your name?
My name is Norisha Kirks Glover. I am the owner of NRK Construction. I'm actually the president of Junior League of Baton Rouge, and I am a fabulous wife, is what I believe my husband would say. I'm the world's best mom, is what I believe my daughter would say, and I'm everybody's favorite friend.
Wow.
Oh, wait, and I'm just to say my favorite color. My favorite color is pink.
Extra points. Coming to you. I'm going to deliver those extra points right here. There we go. Bam. You should have them in your screen right now. I don't know.
I don't think I really have a true favorite color. I mean, I'm going to celebrate pink because I love whenever we celebrate breast cancer awareness. But I feel like I'm a person who has a favorite color of the season of my life that I'm in.
Okay. Then you got to tell us what the season of the color of the life of the palette of the Pantone that you have right now.
Right now it's navy blue.
Wow. Okay.
It's a solid, it's a royal, it's a classy color. And a lot of what I wear in my wardrobe right now has some navy blues. And I was actually shopping for furniture the other day, and apparently blues are in. And so I was thinking about a blue couch, like a deep navy blue couch that's like welcoming, but still like welcome to my lovely classy home. So you can see all my kids' stuff over there on the floor.
That's bold too, right?
Mm-hmm.
A blue couch is bold.
It is.
I like it.
Well, I agree with you about the colors changing. At least my colors that I prefer throughout my life. So it reflects as you mentioned, the season we are in. So
yes.
And I did not get to navy blue yet. Maybe that one is next. So a big part of the theme of our chit chat moving forward is going to be about resilience, messages and stories and resilience. So that's what we're looking for from our guests. So tell us your story and tell us how you had to thrive even while you were facing difficult situations.
So my story is that I actually started my career in fundraising. I had that career for 13 years, and I really enjoyed it. I worked for a lot of education organizations at that time. I worked for a charter school like in DC. I worked for an education reform organization in the Bay Area of California, and then moved back to Louisiana and fundraised for LSU, which is my alma mater and I love. And I enjoy doing fundraising, but wanted to be in control of my own destiny. And so with that, I really started exploring everything. Like I would say to people like, what are things you think I'd be good at? Every time I'd meet somebody, I'm like, I love your job. I think I could do that. But when I was telling friends and trying to be thoughtful, what I would say to them is like, I'm really looking to manage people, and I want to manage budgets, and I want to manage projects. Like those are the things that I am good at, and I want a job that allows me to do that. It's not a specific title. It's not a specific like organization. And I had a friend contact me, and he said, well, have you ever thought about construction? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, I really think like if those are the things you're interested in doing, all that can be accomplished through construction. So I, like a nerd, start calling a whole bunch of people who own businesses like it's to be a business owner. And I went to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and I was like, what does construction look like the next 10 to 20 years, et cetera? And I was like, okay, like this all seems interesting. And the friend said to me, he's like, look, if this is something that you decide to do, I'll teach you everything that you need to know. And so I did. I was like, I started it. And I was like, if this does not work, then I'll go back to fundraising, which, I'm good at. But, I'll give this a shot. And so that's what I did is in 2015, I started my company. I started in late 2015. I didn't even leave LSU until like November 2015. Did a little bit of consulting work in between, but then really like went full throttle with the company in 2016. And I was learning a bit about commercial and industrial construction. And I remember doing a tour of a Schlumberger facility and yawning during the tour and going, industrial construction's not for me. I was like, I'm a people person, so I want to do residential construction. And so there are lots of resources that I was reaching out to, like small business administration and stuff like that. And I was meeting with this gentleman at the Urban League. He says, look, you can't go around going, oh, I do everything, because you will never come to people's minds if you say that. Right? Like no one says, oh, who's the person who does everything? That's not what they say. They say, who's the person who does blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know a good painter, or I know a good, person who does sheetrock. So he says, you've got to pick the areas that are your specialty and stick with that. I said, well, where do people need it? He goes, people are always looking for painters, they're always looking for sheetrock, they're always looking for flooring. Like, great. Those will be my specialty areas. I had that conversation with him in June of 2016, started looking for a team. August 2016, the flood happens. And what does everybody need? Painters, people to do sheetrock, people to do flooring. Now they need everything else as well, but regardless of what work you needed, everybody needed that. And so I have a friend who put my business card on Facebook. I started to get calls from there. I had a few friends who knew I started a business. They called me, and I have been doing construction ever since then. My business switched to a lot of residential construction, and about 3-4 years ago, I pivoted a little bit with my business. And so I'm now like 90% commercial, 10% residential. And so that's where I am. And in terms of resilience, I mean, the story of my company starts with resilience. That's really like helping people through some of the most difficult times in their lives, while trying to be like keeping in mind my personality of like trying to be a support for them, while also like recognizing this is a business. And I've made this commitment to people who are highly emotional, probably needing therapy because they've gone through some traumatic experience in their life. They're having to deal with large amounts of financial things, money like that they may have never received, or they're just worried about it like going to waste because they're afraid that some bad contractor's like going to come through and like steal their money. And I'm like, I don't want to fail, and I've got to like pay my bills, and I don't want someone's roof to cave in. So like that was nothing but resilience. Every day getting up, working through it. I feel like I'm just like now, but that's how much it's a story of resilience. So y'all ask more questions, and I'll talk more.
I love your story, and I love how you identified your strengths and you found a career or a business around it, because a lot of times we do the opposite. We look for an industry or a kind of job we like, and we try to squeeze ourselves into it. So, so as a woman in construction, there's not a lot of you out there. What tell us more about your experience, especially as you entered that field.
Well, so when there are a couple of stories that come to mind. So one, there was a young woman who called me, who knew me. She asked me to do her house. I provided an estimate for her. The day before I start, she calls me and says, "Hey, I know you're supposed to start, but my dad and my husband don't want to use you because you're a woman." They're like, "What could she know about construction?" I was like, "Dang, okay." But I mean, there were plenty of homes to do during that time. So while I was like bummed with that, that's okay. I had a lot of people that I was trying to pull into my team. And what I found is like people were either, I'm not going to work with a woman. And I don't really know who those people are. I think they just chose not to work with me. And that those who didn't care worked with me. And so, and there were lots of people who were like, "Oh, she's feisty. Like, I bet she's good," or whatever, like, so like, I feel like the people who are on my team are people who they didn't care about the fact that I was a woman in construction. In fact, it intrigued them, or they were fascinated by it, or they saw what others have been able to see in me in terms of, oh, there's a lot of potential with this business, and if they're smart business people, they're like, "Oh, this could also translate well for my own business. So like, I want to stick with her and ride this train and see where this goes." Yeah. I mean, that's where it was a lot at the start, like with residential. With commercial, a lot of times you're bidding on projects. And I remember this moment of standing in a room. And typically I had been the only female, the only African-American, the only one under 40, and the only one under 5 feet. And I remember and I remember this moment of like going to some job site, and it was like these 5 different companies here in Baton Rouge. They're like, "Oh, hey, Norisha." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the boys club." And I'm not really trying to be in the boys club, right? But I knew like I'd broken something, because I wasn't like the weird person just standing there. I was one who was like there with all the other contractors, and it was totally normal, like, for me to be there. And that just comes with time. That didn't happen overnight. It came with time and with people getting to see my work and me proving who I was. So.
Good point. I mean, it's funny you add the last touch, or the last point there, where the only one under 5 feet. I mean, as if everything wasn't already stacked against you. I mean, it's just crazy. but that's just the thing. If they could just get a chance to know you, or to know how you execute or communicate, or just how vibrant of a person you are, and how there's so much depth there, that to write you off just because you don't look like you fit the profile of someone who would be doing residential or commercial construction, I can understand that being a little frustrating. But I mean, they just don't know, and that's also not the type of clients that you want either. Which it's a tough one to admit, but because sometimes those are hard losses. But man, there's so much that you're capable of, which is why you're on the show, which is why you are part of that amazing club that Dima's in, the Influential Women in Business. Mm-hmm. We got to talk about that too.
Robbie, you made a comment. You said it was like hard to admit, like, sometimes these aren't your clients, but I didn't mean you've had this conversation before, right? Every client is not a good client. No. And the thing is that when you have an experience with a bad client, and every business person will, it is easy to identify, like, oh, here's the moment that like I should have recognized or trusted my gut, but this was not going to work. But you talked yourself like through and be like, oh no, I can like work this out.
Yeah.
And now when you see that type of client, you like see them a mile away, and you're like, nope, I'm not going to engage with them. And I'm okay with that, because not all money is good money.
Yeah, I mean, you have to learn that lesson the hard way most times, because that lesson doesn't make sense. If you don't, it only took 15 minutes for a pun, y'all. 15 minutes. No, I mean, it's the truth though. It's so much the truth. That's a lesson that comes. It has to be caught, instead of taught. So I'm glad you mentioned it. And no, not every client's a good client, but you'll wind up taking clients. We're all in the same room. We all do sales for our company essentially. And I mean, when it comes down to it, you're right. Not all work is good work. Not all money is good money. But to be able to work with people that share the same passion, or maybe if you're lucky, a purpose, or they're just good people and they want a project done, then go for it. It's easy work. Most of the times it's easier to handle that type of client, but the tough ones, you've got to learn the hard way on how to spot them, what they look like and what they sound like and what they feel like, most of all. And hopefully you get better at, qualifying your work or your leads, but that takes time. And you were talking about, people being in different, or you were talking about how you might accept work, or maybe that's not the client that you want, right? And I think what's important with that too is, Brandon, that's where I think I got it from. Come on, it's obviously Catrice. I love that woman. She dropped some major knowledge on us. But like we were talking about, it's with the type of clients, Nori, it's tough because sometimes you want to grow. Sometimes it's like, I need the money. That's how we're going to grow, right? I need the next project. Maybe this project will lead into other referrals or other projects. It's a vicious game and a cycle that you can get in, but it's one that with maturity you get better at playing.
But this is what resilience is about, right? Every business owner will have that experience. You'll have multiple experiences with clients that don't work. And because of it, you will tweak things about your business practices. You're like, okay, now my contracts that I'm going to give out, they're going to look a little bit different because I now need to add in this particular clause, or I will stop saying this particular phrase because I've now repeated it multiple times and I see what it has done in relationship with clients. So I'm not going to say that anymore. Or I've hired this particular person to my team and I now realize this is just going to go. The key is not beating yourself up for it, because a lot of those mistakes cost. They cost financially. They do. And people can sometimes get down on themselves and be like, maybe I'm not supposed to own a business, or maybe I'm not going to recover from it. But resilience is about overcoming those little things a day at a time. The other day when I was on the panel, they asked something about resilience. And I feel right now we talk about it in terms of COVID, which is a big thing. How do we survive COVID? But I think life in general is about things happening to us and us taking those little moments, day by day, and just working through them and realizing they don't have to define us. It doesn't have to define my business. It doesn't have to define the rest of my life.
Good point. I mean, the part about the resilience too is you can't overcome all the obstacles at once, right? So sometimes that's a journey, or that's a step before you take a leap, before you start running. And oftentimes you're going to have to swallow a lot of that reality pill multiple times before you get to the reality. Oh, okay, I'm just not going to let this affect me, or I'll change the way this makes me feel by changing behavior or trying a different process. Or, I mean, it's all just part of that learning process. But what do you get from resilience though, Nori? What is the end all be all there? Because there's always a struggle.
Resilience builds character. But resilience builds character. That's what I think it is. I forget who I was talking to today. It was Tristy, who's our president-elect of Junior League, and I was joking with the fact that every day I have a construction story for her, and I think by the end of our league year, she'll be able to own our construction company. But one of the things is I'm learning to have tough conversations, and that will only make me a better boss and a better human in general, because as a previous boss used to tell me, direct people are a joy to be around, like, because you know where you stand. And when you have tough situations that you encounter, like, you have to decide, like, how you're going to respond. And are you going to be the person that you claimed that you are? Like, we love to go around and be like, yeah, like, I'm a really savvy business person or a professional business person, or I'm really ethical. But then we're like, when the situation happens, that's when you really have to, like, prove, like, to yourself and not to anyone else, like, who you are, that you claim that you are.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yes. And this was challenged a lot with the pandemic the last few months, where a lot of people were trying to survive, trying to figure out the path of their business. So you're right. It's not just saying I'm an ethical business person. When things really get tough, is the individual going to be ethical, or are they going to look for other ways? Yeah. And also the employees, like a lot of organizations talk about the importance of their employees and how they're a priority. But what happens when things go bad? Are the employees still going to be priority? The quality of service, everybody brags about that. But what if when things go bad and prices go up, what about the quality? So that's so powerful. Thanks.
That's a good point.
So hard work. Like, when I think about you, we didn't talk about this in the past, but you're such a hardworking woman. Like, right now, it is almost 7:30, and you are in the office working so late and taking a call with us and doing the junior league and all of the other stuff. Let's talk about that. I don't know what the question I want to ask, but all I want to say, like, it's not just a matter of being a woman or a person in business. It does come with a lot of sacrifices and a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a big part of resilience. So it's not just a matter of wanting to, just take it easy and say I'm resilient. It comes with big prices. So tell us about your experience with that.
So I'll say two things about it. Okay. So the first thing is, I absolutely believe in hard work. And I can't deal if you're not a hard worker. And I've met a lot of people in the entrepreneur community who be like, yeah, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I do this. And it's not that people can't do multiple things. But as the person told me, when they're like, you can't say, like, I do everything. You can't be like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so hard work is about focusing your energy, like, in the right spot and honing the skills. So, like, you are the master of, like, whatever it is that you are doing. And I think a lot of times people go into business because they're like, oh, I want to be my own boss and I want to have, like, flexible hours. But the truth of the matter is, you will work longer hours than you ever worked when you were working for someone else. You may try to phone it in like you did at work, but then you'll have overwhelming guilt at the end of the day about how you're going to make bills, particularly, like, if you have employees. And so if you are not one who is a hard worker, like, think long and hard about becoming an entrepreneur. The other thing I want to say is, like, so I am in the office, right? But I want you to know that I do truly believe in balance. So I am in the office because I'm fortunate and blessed, and this is not everyone's situation, that I have a babysitter who picked up Kennedy today from school, because I can't do my phone calls. I can't do my conference calls. And I had a meeting before this and this activity today. And it is very, very difficult to do with my daughter there. She is so stinking cute, and she loves me, and I love her, and she'd want to be on the screen, and then I couldn't concentrate. And so I'm fortunate to have a babysitter who I had pick her up. As a working mom, every minute that I'm at work is utilized, because one, I have to leave work at 5:00 because my daycare has communicated to me and they have charged me if I pick her up late. So that is, like, not an option. When I get home, my time is, like, with her. And then on the weekends, I actually don't want to discuss work at all. I try not to even have construction work on the weekends, but sometimes it tries to happen. But I need that time to regroup and refresh, because even though I'm getting to do the things I love, there are also things that I do in my work that drain me of my energy. And I have to be able to get that energy back in order to, like, work the next day. So like, I'm good at managing budgets, projects, and people, but that does not make me a good accountant. And I am my bookkeeper for my business. And today I was doing financial stuff, and that drains me of energy. So I do try to have balance. This year is not the greatest year of balance for me. Yeah. But I gotta tell you, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love my junior league.
Oh my goodness. Look at this lady.
I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But when it's over, I intend to take a long break.
You're just starting. You've been the president for what, like 2 months? Less than 2 months.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that's amazing. I'm glad you brought that up, and Dima, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because you really are. I mean, you have to bring up hard work when you talk about Norisha. You have to. It's one of the first things I noticed about her in college. And I know she's frozen right now.
Norisha, can you talk at least if we can get your voice? We can't.
I might have messed that up because I kind of put us streaming at 1080p today, full definition, full high definition. So it might have had the connection kind of run a little bit wacky. But I'm glad you mentioned, and she'll come back on. But I'm glad you mentioned hard work, because that's what I think about when I think about Norisha. Ever since I met her, it's been all about hard work. So the sacrifice about Junior League too, her being a president. I've been so lucky to have known like the last 3 to 4 to 5 presidents, and wow, how amazing that is for what they commit, because they commit for almost 2 years. You know, they commit for a year serving under the president-elect or the president at the time, and then they come in right after that.
Yeah. I was just texting with Norisha. She's going to join back.
I know. I got her on the phone, so I was like, what's going on here? But and just the sacrifice that they have as president, you know, and there's Nori right there joining in. So as soon as, there we go. Adding you to the stream, my friend.
Oh, here you are.
What happened?
That's resilience.
You come back.
Maybe
Our exercise in resilience.
Yeah.
I think it's the camera saying, stop crying. It's exhaustion.
It just shows how passionate you are about something that's extremely meaningful. So when I think of the Junior League, I think of community. I think about advancement of women, giving them chances that they wouldn't otherwise. So that is a huge purpose that you are directing for a whole year. And
yes,
not wearing a hat.
And I'm not trying to take credit for it. Like, in any of these organizations that people belong to, you do it because you have great people on the team. There is nobody who can do it like on their own. And one of the lessons that I kind of knew, but Junior League is a place where you can like test out your stuff. I remember a year I was serving on like our research and development committee, and I like provided like instruction for the committee. And every time people came back with whatever it is they were supposed to do, it was 100 times better than like I had even imagined. And it was a reminder to me, like, I don't need to be a micromanager. I don't need to like, I don't need to follow people like along the way and like create so much pressure. It's like provide good, vision and guidance, and then let people like run with it. And what I love about the organization is like, none of us are going to get it perfect. There's lots of stuff that we don't know we're going to learn, but we've got to have the space to be able to do that. And people don't always get that space or opportunity in their work life, and sometimes not even in their personal life.
Yep.
And I like that we provide that space for women to do that.
Yes. So you mentioned earlier, before you were talking about the Junior League, about your daughter, and I have to tell you, she is adorable. Like I your Facebook posts with her. Oh my goodness, the personality! Wow, and so beautiful and cute. Oh my goodness. So tell us about the personality, and what do you see when you look at her?
Oh my God. Okay. So Kennedy is so fantastic. I really have known since she was probably like 2 months old that she was independent.
She gets like, I have known that, right? And that she is mentally strong, but she is physically strong. Like, the girl hits. Maybe all children do that at that age. I don't know. This is my first one ever. But like, even when she would go to the doctor and they would like try to like give her shots or stuff like that, like, she resisted and she was physically strong, but like, she would get her shots and not cry.
What?
I know, right? Like, literally, like when she was born and they were like doing the shots, like she wouldn't cry. I'm like,
no
oh,
way.
It's like one tough cookie. She is, and again, I don't know if like some of this stuff is like just her, or if this is like all children, right? But like, I don't like, I feel like she's so smart. I just do. But like
coming from the mama. Yeah.
Like, literally, like, I'll say stuff or whatever, or like, I'll be like, Kennedy, don't do that. And she'll look at me like this, like, give me these eyes, or I'll see her like look at me, wait for me to like look away. And then, but like, I can kind of see like what she's doing. And I'm like, oh, you just tested me. And like, I remember, so I'm going to say something. And like, gosh, I hope like people aren't like, oh, you're the worst mom. Because we shouldn't be, people mother the best way they know how. So like, I had read all the books because again, I'm a nerd, right? And I'm like, okay, she has to sleep on her back because, you know, SIDS. I'm very like nervous about SIDS. Kennedy never slept on her back, like could not get her to. And it made me nervous as a mother. So she'd be in the bassinet, like on her stomach. And I'm like awake all night because like, I don't want her to like die in her sleep. Like, I'm very nervous about that. And then she's in daycare, and I find out she sleeps on her back like all the time in daycare. And I'm like, how do you not do that? And so I realized that like there are tons of things that she will like do for daycare that she won't do for me. And so I have moments where I'm like, oh, I'm being played. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm being played. And so it's interesting and like funny to watch and to tell her stuff, and she'd be like, okay. Dude, I don't know. It may be all kids, but literally, this is my first child, and so I'm learning. But she's so stinking cute, and right now she's in this phase where she likes to scream me and Carlos's name. So she'll like be on the other side of her room. She'll be like, Norisha!
Oh wow!
So I'm like, what is that about? But I'm like, we don't scream. Carlos and I don't scream each other's names, so I don't know why she's screaming our names, but she is. She is.
It's all that love.
It is.
Or it could be that we need a change or a bottle.
There's no bottle at this age.
I mean, give me something to drink. It's all about snacks right now and forever.
Yeah, they do love their snacks. Like
Forever.
literally, when she gets in the car after daycare, I'm like, have they not fed you all day? Because she gets really aggressive and she holds her hands over the back of her car seat like this.
Yeah, like give me some food, Ma.
Oh wow!
But
I would like a Happy Meal in my hand, please.
Yes, and it's literally like I will touch a bag. She's like, cracker? I'm like, how did you even know I had crackers? But my favorite thing right now is that so we have our bedtime routine to give her bath, read a book. Then I say, okay, Kennedy, because I'm determined to like have her sleep in her crib all night, which she's getting better at. Say, now it's time for prayers. So we'll go to her crib, we'll get on her knees or whatever. And every time she starts, she goes, Our Father, our Father, our Father, our Father, our Father, our Father, our Father. Amen. And I'm like, I love it. I'll take it.
I think he loves it too.
I'm like, this is just so cute. And then
wait. Can you do that again? Can you do it again for me?
Our Father,
you can do a video.
Our Father, our Father, our Father. Amen.
You should do a video of her. Like this is
but that's the thing. When I start the video, she knows it and she stops.
Oh yeah. They see the camera. It's like, nope. I'll act normal for a minute.
The babysitter.
They can't possibly film me all day long.
The babysitter who's with her right now, like she's a new babysitter. So I was like, oh, come over and meet Kennedy. Like I want to introduce you, right? So I mean, Kennedy put on a show. She's like, hello, and play, and she's giggling. She's like, ha 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 ha. And she's like showing us over, like, oh, this is so great. But like Kennedy, you're like totally putting on a show. So I like tell her like what the routine is, and then I go a little bit downstairs, and I can hear Kennedy wailing, and I'm like, oh, Kennedy's turned it on her now, like literally like that. Like Kennedy was like, nope. And Kennedy, like, oh, this is an example of something where I feel like Kennedy knows what she's doing, and then I'll stop talking about Kennedy. So each of my babysitters have gone to the daycare and Kennedy has seen them and started screaming as if they were strangers. And then, so then the daycare workers are like, "Oh, are you sure? Like, are you sure this is your child?" And they're like, "We promise. Like, we've picked her up. We've babysat her before." And then when Kennedy would come out of the building with the babysitter, she would stop crying, look at them, smile, and give them a kiss. And they're like, "You just embarrassed the heck out of me." And all the babysitters were then too embarrassed to like go back to the daycare because they felt that Kennedy made it look like they were bad caretakers.
How does she know to do
She's
that?
not even 2. I don't even know. She's not even 2.
They know. They just know. It's built in.
Wow.
She is a cutie patootie. Oh my goodness. I love that little lady. And you can just keep posting pictures and videos as much as you want.
Yes.
I will.
I love it.
I will.
So, Norisha, with everybody going through a difficult time right now, a lot of people are asking, how do we manage stress and how to handle this situation? So you mentioned one tip, which was like weekend, don't work on the weekends, be efficient during the day so you can do your second job at night and take care of the family. But what other tips do you have for people to manage stress at a time that is so uncertain, and also at a time that they're not sure about their jobs and businesses and their survival?
Yeah. So how else to manage stress during this time? I think that some of the stress, and I know that I had some particular, is about people wanting to control. But this boss who I quoted earlier, who like we used to say she had Karenisms, and my friends will appreciate that because they know who I'm talking about. She used to tell us control is an illusion. And I think a lot of times stress is about us like trying to figure out how to make something happen that we don't have any control over. And so it's like, so it's like about accepting where you are. And so earlier Rob said a word and I'm like, oh my God, is he giving this throwback? And so the word he said was journey. And so like right now in the league, we have like a theme each year. And I chose my theme probably in January of last year.
Wow.
Not knowing that the pandemic was coming. And I'm sorry, January of like this year, whatever, not realizing there was going to be a pandemic. And the theme is own the journey. And I think that what people have to do is like stop fighting where you are and accept where you are so you can take everything that life has to give you in that moment. And what life has to give you might not be great, but again, if like resilience builds character, it's okay. Like take that in that moment so that you can use that later. And so, like things might be not so great, like with work, right? So like, don't try so hard to control it, like accept it like for what it is and work within that. And it doesn't mean that you can't think about like what your next opportunities are and all that. But I think like sometimes if we stop fighting it so hard and sit in it and stop trying to control it all, then it can reduce the stress a little bit. It doesn't get rid of all of it, right? Because we still got bills to pay. We still have family members that we have to like take care of. If we're not taking care of family members, we still want to make sure like we're taking care of ourselves. So nothing's going to get like rid of stress 100%, but we can reduce some of that, I think, by stop trying to control everything. But I think that's also about being like connected to something bigger than you.
Well, Nori, like whenever that's happening too, it's kind of hard to accept if you don't like your job or where you're going in life right now or how you feel as an adult or what you're able to accomplish. I mean, sometimes accepting that or where you're at sucks.
but here's the thing, acceptance doesn't mean that like you can't like when I say like, let's say I don't like my job, right? Acceptance means not being angry about the fact that I don't like my job. Like just accept the fact that I don't like it, but that doesn't mean that I don't look for other jobs. And I think a lot of times it's about the feeling that people like that they have that's connected to it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying I don't want to ignore the fact that people still like, I'm not saying quit your job because again, we still need to like pay our bills and stuff like that. you certainly want to take advantage of like what opportunities are out there. So if you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself or to get another job opportunity, you know, you want to take advantage of that. But and I think sometimes I think the stress is about, like, I'm going to use an example, but I really like, I think part of why I'm stumbling here is because like I really don't want to like offend anybody, because everyone has like their different levels of like fear and anxiety about like what is taking place.
Yeah.
So like the whole COVID thing like stinks, but like I don't really have a choice about like sitting in my house. Like I have construction projects that are like taking place. So I can either like be anxious about it, or I can like protect myself in the only way that I know how. Like I'm making sure that I wash my hands and do all of that. I am like wearing my mask, but like I don't want to stew in the fact that this whole pandemic thing sucks, because stewing in it's not going to get me anywhere. All I can do is like continue to go from like day to day and make whatever decisions that I need to make on that particular day with the information that I have. And if it's a good decision, it's good. And if it's a bad decision, then I will learn from that and I will keep going. But like, I can't sit and stew in it.
And this is part of owning your journey, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you were trying to say too, right?
Yes. That owning where you are, and owning and recognizing like it is temporary. And temporary could mean a 2-year temporary, right?
Yes.
It could mean a 2-year temporary.
Yes.
But resilience builds character. It does.
Yeah. So tell us about. So last week you were announced as one of the influential women in business, and we had the virtual event and all of this. How was your experience? Tell us about.
Good question.
Okay, so I am going to make a confession here that I made to one of my friends, and because I want to remind women that everything doesn't seem like what it seems, right? Y'all, I was so excited about the award, and literally as they listed the women who were coming before me, I thought to myself, I do not belong here. And I was like, oh my gosh, Norisha, you feel like an imposter right now, and women suffer from like imposter syndrome. And I was shocked that was even like, I hadn't had that thought until I got to it, until I got to the event. And I hate that I felt that way, because I'm so incredibly honored to be so incredibly honored to be selected, so incredibly honored to be selected with the women who are on that stage. Like there was only one woman that I didn't really know before them, but really I had a fantastic time of getting to know her. And actually Rob, me and her got to talk about you like over lunch. But like they were such a phenomenal group of women. And I'm like, do I deserve to like be here? But I forget where I read, like wherever you are is exactly like where you are supposed to be. So again, I was like, Norisha, get over yourself, own this moment. Don't get lost in this moment, or don't,
That's a good point, because it was uncomfortable for you at that moment to accept where you were.
Right.
Which is crazy, because you were there accepting something like an acknowledgement, an award, something prestigious, something people apply for. There's a process. I mean, that's incredible, because that's a good thing. And the initial reaction was to resist it or think that you weren't worthy. I think that's very important to bring up. That someone like you, who is a hard worker, executes, owns their own job, president of the junior league, doesn't think that they're willing or worthy enough to be on the stage. That's crazy. No, I understand. I'm just saying, like, we all suffer from this. You can now get worded.
Let her talk.
You can now talk. I'll shut up.
I was just saying, like, it's so weird, because like when I was called and notified that I got the award, I was very excited. It wasn't until the actual event and they start announcing names, like that they thought that I thought that. But then I had to get over it. Like I reminded myself, like, you are where you're supposed to be. And I know I say women because like I'm very passionate about women, but I am sure that there are men who occasionally like have imposter syndrome as well. And I want people to know that they are not the only ones who have that moment, and that moment can occur even when you're like walking on stage to like get something. But we are where we're supposed to be. So when we are invited to the boardroom or invited to a meeting or invited to a reception, you're in that room because you're supposed to be in that room. So like own that moment, live in it, take that stuff that's in your head, throw it to the back, think about it another time, but just like accept the place where you are.
I love that. Yeah. Don't let this imposter syndrome stop you from where you are, because a lot of people may go backward, and that's so amazing.
And it would ruin the moment. Like I literally had to get that out of my head, or I would not have been able to enjoy the moment, not be able to enjoy the company of the people that I, who are we getting to know. And it turned out to be like such a lovely event. It was, they had no more than 30 of us there. Like it was like the recipients, our spouses, or, whoever is our plus one that we decided to bring. And then like a few people from the business reports and sponsors. And then we had a lovely lunch afterwards. And I got to meet Padma. And she was fantastic. I so enjoyed speaking with her. And she was the only one who I didn't really know like before the event. But all of those women were absolutely incredible.
Awesome. It was a great group. Wow. I mean, every year it's astounding that I know there's so few people that get the award or recognition, but there are so many people. Like this award could go on forever with the amount of people that we have in our community doing good things. And I'm so glad that both of you were recipients to the award. And it was an easy nomination for me. I'll tell you, in both cases, that's an easy one. Write that puppy again if you need me to. Just let me know.
Well, thank you again for nominating me, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. In my situation, I'm hearing some echo in the background. So maybe, Rob, you need to lower your volume again. Yeah, I remember in my situation, Rob came to my office and he said, "Do me a favor. I want you to complete these questions." And I said, "No, I'm not applying this year. My friends submitted the nomination like 2 years in a row and I was not selected." And he's like, "Just give me the information." So without you, Rob, I would not have gone through the process. So
I'm so glad you did. Oh, wait, let me get her.
Oh.
I gotta unmute you, friend. There you go.
Oh,
Rob supporting women everywhere.
That's why he's wearing pink.
Wait, I couldn't hear. Oh well, I keep hearing a clicking.
Yeah,
there's a lot of clicking too, but I'm not sure where it's coming from.
No worries. I just love seeing that smile. There we go.
Well, maybe that's the chit chat is giving us a sign.
It might be, huh? Oh my goodness.
Let Norisha go home.
Oh wait, am I freezing up or something? Or are we just trying to end it?
No, we're not. They're just like noise and clicking in the background that we can't figure out.
Oh no. Oh, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, it's
good.
No.
Oh, it's still there, but that's okay. Nori, tell us one more thing.
Okay.
What is, and I have no idea what I'm about to ask, so I'm just letting you know that it's going to come off the handle. I have no idea where I'm going with this. Maybe I'm going to set this up for an easy dunk, okay? But what about LSU? What is one of your favorite moments that you remember at LSU? As a student.
Okay, so I was telling this to a sales rep the other day. It's not really a favorite moment as a student, but it's a tangent I like to go on about my student experience.
Okay.
I'm just going to go out there and say it. When I arrived at LSU in 1999, Jerry DiNardo was the football coach. They fired him halfway through the season, hired Nick Saban. My entire college career was nothing but LSU winning football games. So when people are like, F Saban, I'm like, y'all, lest you forget that we would not even be back on the map had it not been for that man. And between my senior year and graduate school, like I got to go to the national championship. I remember like tailgating and stuff. And we would, a group of my friends, my roommates and we would tailgate with this group, Ford family tailgating. The guys would then go wait in line for us at the game. They would sit on the front row because those girls didn't wait in the line that long. We had to sit on the second row, but literally I sat on the second row in the student section, like for every football game during a time where people would throw their drinks in the air. Then we had to be nervous about like the crowd, like moving all the way down, like pushing us against the fence, because this was like everyone kept trying to rush the fields, which they eventually like put some Vaseline or whatever, like on the pole. So we would like stop rushing the fields. Like it was an incredible experience. As a student there during that time, Rob was a cheerleader. Rob and I used to hang out like all the time. I remember this one crazy trip to like Lafayette. It was at like my college experience was like, it is what people dream of like in terms of a college experience. And that is why I have such fond experiences like of LSU. But I will also go like on my separate tangent. So one, people stop hating on Saban so much because again, a lot of the things you get to experience today is because they brought him here. My second thing is, but before football existed, LSU existed as an educational institution. And some of y'all would sell your first and third child to have season tickets there, but don't care anything about supporting that institution academically. And so I need y'all to get it together a little bit, make some donations to your university, make it to support the college that you graduated from. Do it so that other students can have like scholarships or, you know, travel experiences that maybe you wish you could have had or you did get to experience at LSU. It is not an institution that is plush with money because we're not a state that heavily invests in education, but it needs your support beyond football.
Good point.
They're still going to go to school this year, even if football doesn't happen. So
another good point.
Even if it's $50, like give that to the institution. It needs it.
Well, look, let's round this out and say that, you know, LSU as an institution and as an athletic entity provided you on that second row of those games with some really tasty popsicles, if I remember correct. Was that you remember the fruit bars that you used to throw out at halftime? Yeah. Did you not?
Look, I was short. I couldn't catch anything, so I don't know. I don't know what you were throwing out.
You were also in a sea of people, so I understand. You might not have even got one of those fruit bars, but whoever did,
people throw stuff out
courtesy of LSU.
Yeah, I'm not catching that.
Oh my! Look, the studio audience is coming up. Here we go. No shirt on. Hopefully he's bathed, has some food in his system.
Wait, what?
We'll see.
The studio audience.
The studio audience must. William just poked his head in.
Is it your son or daughter?
Oh, it's William. He made his way up. He wanted to see what this 1080p live stream's all about. Nori, you are on the first fully high definition broadcast of Chit Chat with Rob and Dima, or Dima and Rob.
Well, thank you. Well, I hope I get invited back again. It's fun chatting with y'all. Both of y'all have been incredibly awesome. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to both of you and your support of the Junior League. Rob serves on our community advisory board. Dima has provided fantastic training. Let me tell you, when COVID happened and we still wanted to engage our members, Dima did training for us, and they were some of the largest trainings we've ever had attended. And that's because Dima is engaging and she's fun and she's honest and she's personable and people can relate to her. And so thank you for that. Because of like those trainings that we've had, we've been able to continue that momentum in our training for our members. I mean, we've had since June, we've probably had like 10 different trainings just on different things. And the trainings aren't for everybody or whatever, but we've had a lot of them, and we owe a lot of that to you, Dima. So thank you for your support of the league.
I love it. Reach out anytime. I love the Junior League of Baton Rouge.
Amen.
Oh, wait. So wait. My people would kill me if I didn't say this. Okay, I'm really and it's not that I'm trying to make all the plugs for Junior League, but I'm really serious about this. Every organization has had to pivot, right? So we typically have our fundraising event, Holidays, that takes place in October. It's usually in the River Center. That is not happening. We're having a hybrid event. It is going to, people can shop online, which people love to do anyways. But we're also selling our raffle tickets. So if you want to learn more about our event, go to shopholidays.org and buy raffle tickets. And we hope that you will attend it. And that is not why you're invited to be on. But I would not be doing my job as president if I did not encourage people to go support Holidays.
I'm so glad you said that. I know it's a big deal every year. So share with us the link when you have it up, and we'll put it on the Chit Chat Facebook page.
Yep, I'll send it to y'all. It's shopholidays.org, and our website's already live.
Oh, good. Wow, you're wasting no time.
No time.
Check that out right there. Little juniorleaguebr.org.
Thanks.
But I think the link is shopholidays.
Gotcha.
Don't put the
Go check out that beautiful website too.
Our website.
Well, Norisha, it was so much fun chit-chatting with you. Thanks for all the tips and sharing your stories. And I encourage everybody to go and check your daughter's pictures because, again, they're adorable, so cute. And I will never forget her prayer to God before going to sleep. That is the most adorable thing.
Thank you.
That is
No takeaway. No takeaway from the chit chat today. What's your takeaway, Rob?
My takeaway from today, I love the hard work piece. I know we drove home resilience. I gotta say the journey. I gotta say you gotta take it every step of the way on the journey, and I like how that was the theme of Junior League Baton Rouge too. What about you, Nori?
My takeaway is that we're all fabulous people created in someone's image, and I want us to be excited about who we are, and whether that is in business or personal. Like, you are exactly where you are supposed to be, own where that journey is, and know that whatever's happening is just temporary. It doesn't have to be that defines you.
Yeah. And in the Buddhist religion, they call it impermanence. So nothing lasts forever. Not the good days, not the bad days. So that also helps when things are really bad to know that there's impermanence. It's not going to last forever.
Oh, you know what, Dima? I remember you and having this conversation. Remember, I told you about an article that says the only job that we need to do right now is to arrive on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yes. Mm-hmm. So powerful. So let's arrive all together, one community, and continue to support each other.
Yes.
Love it. Well, that's about it for today's show, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, joining us. We've loved some of the comments. We're so glad we're all on Team Norisha here, and we're so proud of everything that she has done and continues to do. And let's wish her well on her amazing and fabulous and journey of a year that she has as president of the Junior League of Baton Rouge. So love you, friends. Stay safe. Give Kennedy and Carlos a nice hug and a kiss for us. And thank you for joining us today, friend. Dima, going to catch you again next week, right?
Yes, we have another amazing show that we're planning for next week. So tune in on Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Awesome. And Nori, have a good one and stay safe, my friend.
Thank you, y'all too. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.